Hello, I'm Geetha Gurumuthy. Welcome to BBC News Now. Democrats in the United States have condemned President Trump's ban on travel to the United States from 12 countries, including Afghanistan, Haiti and Iran, claiming to protect the United States from foreign terrorists. There are an additional 7 countries whose nationals face partial travel restrictions, including Cuba and Venezuela. The president said it was a response to the recent firebombing attack in Boulder, Colorado, that injured 12 people. Despite the suspect there being an Egyptian national, however, Egypt is not on the banned list. The measures, which are due to come into force next week, are expected to face legal challenges.
The recent terror attack in Boulder, Colorado, has underscored the extreme dangers posed to our country by the entry of foreign nationals who are not properly vetted, as well as those who come here as temporary visitors and overstay their visas. We don't want them.
Well, let's go live to Washington. Our chief North America correspondent, Gary O'Donoghue. Gary, we all remember the initial Trump term Muslim ban. Just tell us about what's been announced today on this.
Well, here we are, part 2. Back in the first time Donald Trump ran for president, he talked about a Muslim ban, actually, during the campaign at that time. But then when he came into power, there was no mention of a Muslim ban. It was largely Muslim countries at that stage, and it got bogged down in the courts. He eventually did get a version of that ban in place in 2018, and that was undone by the Biden administration back in 2021. So this is him reintroducing that. It's 12 countries, as you say, on the banned list. There are some exceptions. So people who have a right of residence here, in other words, if they have a green card from those countries, they can come in. If they're dual citizens of another country from which is not on the banned list, they can also come in. And then there are some exceptions for athletes and others as well. This undoubtedly will be challenged by civil rights organisations here. I have no doubt about that. And to be honest, most of the things that Donald Trump has tried to do by executive order during this administration are already bogged down in the courts, and I think this will just add to the list.
What has been the reaction both within the Republican Party and the Democrats so far?
Yeah, I mean, typical reaction, really. I mean, some Republicans saying you have no right to be here. And it's worth saying that I think, most countries take the view that they do have a right to say who does come in to their country. That's not an unusual thing for a country to say. The criticism has always been of Donald Trump's policy is that it's sometimes skewed unfairly, that it's sometimes skewed in some ways towards people from particular races or religions. That's been the accusation against him, and that's why he's been challenged here by opposition figures, not because you shouldn't have any control, but because of the nature of the sort of motivation behind it. Now, as you said, he cites the attack in Boulder, Colorado, and the irony, of course, is that that suspect is Egyptian, and that's not on the list. Also, there are countries that the US designates as sponsors of terrorism that aren't on this list.
OK, we will have to leave it there. Gary O'Donoghue, thank you very much. Well, Shawn VanDiver is the president of AfghanEvac, a charity which has been assisting with relocation and resettlement of Afghan allies since the United States withdrawal from the country in 2021. He joins me now in Boston. Thank you so much for your time. How is this going to affect those people who've helped the US in the past?
Thank you so much for having me on today, Geetha. Look, there's a mixed bag here, right? Obviously, we don't support this ban at all. There are exemptions for special immigrant visa holders and their immediate family in this travel ban, which is a good thing. But there aren't exceptions for fiancé visas and parents and the litany of student visas and occupational visas and all the various ways that Afghans who have stood up for the idea of America, stood up for the idea of the coalition, and are now at risk because of their relationship with us. And look, what's quite true about this is that even though there are exemptions for SIVs and lawful permanent residents and some family members, the United States government has been working every day to dismantle the infrastructure that veterans and civil society built with the last administration to deliver on the promise of America, to deliver on the promise that we would get them safely to the United States if they stood with us. They've dismantled Enduring Welcome, which was the policy, and CARE, the Coordinator for Afghan Relocation Efforts, which was the office supporting that. CARE ends July 1st. Enduring Welcome is supposed to end September 30th. So even though there are exemptions here, it's a paper tiger.
And what are the people that you work with? What have they been saying to you since this announcement was made?
Well, there's a lot of questions about refugees. This has nothing to do with refugees. This has everything to do with people in the consular track. But refugees are also paused due to another executive order. There's a lot of fear. What about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? And the U.S. immigration system is so complex. The thing that I tell folks is if you're worried about your case, please contact an immigration lawyer. You can go to AfghanEvac.org and look up immigration lawyers through the American Immigration Lawyers Association. You can also donate to help us keep this fight going if you're looking to support. But people are terrified right now. People are so afraid, and the chaos seems to be the point. The cruelty seems to be the point. And you know, your Washington correspondent earlier talked about how it's ironic that they're using the Boulder attack, where an Egyptian man attacked residents there. And yeah, look, the truth is that we helped to break the story of this visa ban back in January and February because they've been planning to do this all along. This is not a response to something. This is politically motivated exclusion from our country, from people who never wanted these folks to be here in the first place.
Can I just ask you, I mean, part of the wider reason that Trump has given is that it's difficult to verify and vet people. How do you do that? I mean, how do you prove that someone who says that they were an interpreter or helped the US and allied forces on the ground, how do you actually prove that? Because over the course of Afghan history, obviously, as you know, many families and individuals switched sides at different times, didn't they, within all the different factions?
Sure. So, number one, your viewers can go to AfghanEvac.org/vetting and see a very detailed graphic as well as a summary graphic. The truth is that these folks say, oh, we don't know who these people are. That's wrong. We know so much about Afghans that are trying to come here. In fact, too much. It takes so long to vet because we have to sift through all the various systems. And the Enduring Welcome is actually the safest, most secure legal immigration program that our country's ever seen. And it's so crazy to me that Stephen Miller and his pals aren't trying to use that as a model, because if they truly cared about safe legal immigration, they would look at Enduring Welcome as the model. And you can see from on our website the 4 types of vetting that people have to go through before they leave Afghanistan to go to a third country. And then there's 4 other things that have to happen once they're in that third country before they even come on to the United States. And it's continuous vetting. There's so much information out there. And frankly, it's just a nonsense excuse that they've been using. We thought that it was in good faith at the beginning, so we created all these graphics to show just how well vetted these folks are. But the truth is they just don't want Afghans or other Muslims coming here.
Shawn VanDiver, president of AfghanEvac charity, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much, Geeta.